This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. Get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't get.
And we are still not tired on this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito and alongside my usual sidekick and broadcast partner and fun. That is the Doc from Doc and Jack, John Charles McElroon. John, how are you doing?
Vito, welcome to the weekend. Always enjoy our conversation. Oh, man, we got a big show. Lots of things happened in the world of media, pop culture. Holy cow. I did get a chance to watch the first episode of Surviving R. Kelly. Oh, man, it's an interesting series there, and one in which I know people that have started to watch it are talking about the fact that maybe potentially R. Kelly is a predator, but it does...
Yeah, not potentially,
but
he is a sexual predator.
He's fighting it vigorously, and so obviously there probably is a situation in which, you know, R. Kelly has some sexual dysfunction, but it starts to go into some of the reasons why. And a guy like that who acts like that, you probably, if you have some psychological awareness, would probably assume that maybe there was some sexual abuse going on. Well, in the first episode, it does reveal that R. Kelly was sexually abused. He was abused from the age of 6 until the age of 13. So look for upcoming episodes of Two Bad Hombres, where when I complete the series, I'll give a full review because a lot of people are talking about it. I wanted to start to watch it. And for somebody like that who has the world at his feet and has all those opportunities, it's kind of interesting to see how a guy becomes somewhat of a predator, someone that's embroiled in such controversies, allegedly. So it'll be interesting to get through that series. I recommend it. You can get it and stream it on Lifetime there, and it'll be interesting because it does definitely talk about ego. It talks about his need for control and stuff like that, so I'm interested to definitely check into that. But before we get into the topics of the day, a lot of good information, a lot of good entertaining stuff to get into regarding the president, regarding NFL football. Some of the habits around the city of Detroit have been revealed. Real interesting stuff there. But I want to get your sense. What was it like being featured on the Sports Media Now podcast? Nolan Bianchi, a great reporter at the Detroit News, sat you down and had a conversation about podcasting and things like that. You had a chance to reveal a little bit about how we grew this thing, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff of the network, and you did a good job. I enjoyed listening to that podcast. You can find it anywhere podcasts are found via the Sports Media Now platform.
The thing is, the only thing I don't like about Nolan Bianchi is the fact that he went to Oakland University. My alma mater is Detroit Mercy. So outside of that, a good dude. Really, what a nice guy. Conversational and a great experience doing that Sports Media Now recording with them. Last Friday at Oakland U, he went into the library, into the basement of the library, into a room and recorded this hour-long podcast, and he was great with me. No complaints. It really flowed. The time zoomed by, and we talked about working here at the Detroit Sports Podcast Network, what I do at the podcast and how we kind of grew as an entity and what we did to build from the ground up, and really giving you guys some credit, you and Adam Strozinski, that is, trying to shower you guys with some love and praise. Try to do that as much as possible on that Sports Media Now podcast. And I also talked about my freelance work, what I do marketing, PR-wise, for Top Cat Sales, for the Detroit Sports Commission as a freelancer, for the Detroit Sports Commission, for the Free Press, what I do at the Free, running the Prep Sports Crew. So kind of talking about my experiences, reflecting upon those experiences, and kind of just trying to provide some insight on kind of what it's like being a freelancer and what it takes to, well, effectively be a PR specialist per se, be a marketing guy, be a person, a part of a podcast network, and to help build the podcast network platform as well, which I had a little bit of influence in, building the podcast platform here.
No doubt about it. So should I call myself a marketing specialist as well, being that now I haven't done it for multiple companies. I chose to focus on my company, but would you then say that maybe I should give myself an additional title and call myself a marketing and social media expert, being that I'm an influencer in the world of Detroit sports? I created the Detroit Sports Podcast Twitter page, one in which Nolan came out and said, "Keep up the great work, fellas. Always enjoy seeing you guys pop up on the feed." He basically called...
Great.
He called,
Thank you, Nolan.
Yeah, he called my Twitter page basically like the Reddit of Detroit sports. And he hit the nail right on the head in that we definitely spark debate. We have a lot of interesting conversations. We don't shy away from controversy. So I'm going to start calling myself the social media czar of Detroit sports.
You would love to be a social media guru and czar. Come on, man.
I am. I built the Twitter page from the ground up, solely.
Yeah, what else have you done? For what other companies, what other entities?
Should I try?
Great job on your behalf. You've done a great job building up the Detroit Podcast Twitter page. You really have. I'll give you that much. But come on, don't you have to do it for other entities?
Yes.
In order to be called a social media czar, as you just refer to yourself as?
Now, there's a little bit of behind the scenes here. I am also an influencer in that.
Influencer in what world? What world are you living in?
Okay,
on
Vito.
planet Earth or another planet?
See, Vito, here's the thing about a young person like yourself.
Sure.
You got to also realize you got to do a little bit more work. There are, if you realize how we get paid here at the network, there are other Twitter pages that compensate me for promoting their entities and things like that. So companies that have provided me funds have seen returns incrementally in their engagement, especially in the world of professional wrestling, especially in the world of gambling, in the world of sports. So if you see, I'll say this, if you see another entity on our Twitter page, there's a likely relationship there, and it's not just happenstance. And if you pay attention to the feed of the Detroit Sports Podcast, you'll start to see probably 24 sites that show up on my page that have been there for over a year. So to say that is a little bit naive. And I'll say it this way. I've grown other entities happily, and if I chose to, I would be fine at it. I have no doubt about it. And to look at this,
really quick, no, you're really good. You really are.
Yeah, the social media czar.
I'll bow down at you.
I do.
I'm not going to call you the social media czar because I don't think anybody deserves that, unless they're making like multi-million dollars in their endeavor. Now, if you were making that big of money, but nobody should refer to themselves as that. Almost, if you refer to yourself as that, it's a little bit cocky and egotistical. Okay,
yeah, I should not refer it, but I think I'll give myself.
You've done good.
Yeah,
you've done good though.
I've done
and what
good.
you've done.
I'm pretty happy.
But how about your spelling ability? How about your grammatical and syntax capability?
Oh, it's
I mean,
terrible.
it's off the mark.
Oh,
completely.
It's terrible.
So, doing social media, you kind of have to be good at that too. Now, you can misspell some stuff because you're funny, you rile up the masses, you draw the engagements.
Yes,
I get all that.
Yes.
How about the spelling?
Obviously.
And the grammatical stuff as well.
If I was to do it for another company, I would probably what you would call adapt. You know,
you can just adapt to anything.
A word
you have
that
adaptability.
Yeah, a word that Matt Patricia likes to use. I would adapt to the needs of the company, and obviously, I would, in terms of other companies, I probably would stick to the area of sports because you can rile it up. But if I was to promote, I'll say this: if I was to promote a clothing company, you would know it's me. I guarantee you would know who was behind it because there would be a certain population of marketing used, a certain style that would be heavily used.
Would you sex it up per se?
I'm not gonna reveal my secrets.
Okay,
but if I were
that's such a big secret, even though every other company you know in this world nowadays uses that methodology. But anyways, what a secret from you.
Exactly, but in a way that would be unique and fascinating. So if you want to hire me, do it. But I haven't chosen to, dedicate my whole life to the podcast. But I do, like I said, I'm very proud of this company being profitable and giving opportunities to guys like you to get over and do other podcasts. So it's really fun. And you did a good job. Obviously, I give you critiques always on everything you do. But hopefully you realize I give you the critique and then also give you the praise that, hey, it was a good job. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for talking about all the nice things about me and Adam. And it was great to hear.
I tried to shower you guys with praise as much as possible. Your ego was growing as I was talking about you, probably too.
I was like, come on, get it out there. I'm like, you told me Monday. And I'm like, man, it came out Tuesday afternoon. I'm like, come on, get this stuff out there because I flip podcasts in 24 hours. I record it, and ones that I'm associated with that I edit, I get out in 24 hours. So I wanted it out there faster so I could hear it and sing and things like that. But it came out Tuesday, and you can find it on the Sports Media Now platform, Nolan Bianchi. Follow him on Twitter, @Nolan Bianchi. He did a great job, and he interviews similar to myself. He goes out there and interviews influencers and people that are in the know in the media. And similar to my one-on-one podcast, which started about 4 years ago, it's a good platform just to sit someone down, have a conversation via the podcast platform. And obviously, a guy like myself loves podcasting. Now, what do you want to get into first, the president or the NFL?
Well, there's one thing which isn't on your radar yet, but something that I wanted to discuss last week. Now, we had the great Perry Farrell on the podcast. It's regarding the president a little bit. Rashida Tlaib, congresswoman from Michigan, had some comments, some choice words about President Trump, saying that she wanted to impeach him, but using an expletive or two.
Yeah.
So she dropped the F-bomb. She dropped an expletive or two, with the F-bomb.
MFer.
Right?
MFer.
I want to impeach the MFer.
Yep.
Now, what is your take on that? Her going that far with her stance on impeaching President Trump.
I'm kind of a person that, always thinks time and place. Okay, you can say those things. You can go out and say, look, we're not happy with the president. This is a guy that we believe does X, Y, and Z, da. But I do think that you should have a little bit of decorum as a politician. I mean, time and place. Like us podcasters, like you said on the recording that you did, look, sometimes we can push the boundaries. We can say whatever we want. We're a podcaster. We're talking sports. Okay, so the way I looked at it was when I watch sports, I don't go, oh, that sucks. I drop F-bombs. I'm like pissed and I'm real. So time and place. A politician, in just my opinion, look, I respect anybody that says anything. It's no big deal. I thought about it for a minute. It didn't, hit the radar for me. But I just think that someone in her position needs to set a better example. And you can discuss the same concept without cussing. And I just think politicians, now she's new. She's trying to rile it up and she's trying to say things. I don't have a problem with it, per se. But I do think she could have delivered the same message without cursing. It's not needed, but she did get attention, and I wish her luck. I wish the government luck, because I think at this point in time, the government's still shut down. They're trying to make a deal, and the jokes are definitely plenty regarding the president in that he shut down a casino. He shut down a sports league. He shut down the U.S. government.
Yeah.
And so I look at it.
He's done it all now.
But his presidency's gone by fast. This is already year 3.
I can't believe how fast it's gone, because we really used to dive into it too. Yeah. Now we don't as much. But man, I still remember our first Two Bad Hombres episode was about his inauguration. Remember, he was pumping up the attendance at his inauguration, and there really wasn't that many people watching there in Washington, D.C. And we talked all about that. We dove right into it, 100+ miles per hour. Now, Rashida Tlaib here, this Democratic congresswoman from Michigan, she dove completely into it as well and went 100+ miles per hour in criticizing Trump with this statement in which she said, her direct quote, "We're going to impeach the MFer." That's what she said about President Trump. Now, if you're a Democrat, you might want to, and there are a growing number of Democrats that do want to impeach President Trump. But for her, and really her opening remarks as a congresswoman, to say that about Trump, well, obviously, truly wasn't warranted. Now, it's what she was thinking, what she felt. But, and even though, Trump has didn't he call these NFL players that were kneeling sons of bitches? I think he did in a rally somewhere. Now, that's not right either from the president of the US of A. But Rashida Tlaib, you know what? Just because he did it, you shouldn't seep to that low of a level yourself. So I don't like using the expletives. And when you're a politician, an elected public official representing the state of Michigan as a Democratic congresswoman, even though you might speak like that with your friends and you were brought up on such phrases or, usage of expletives and that kind of language, I don't think it gives you the reason to say this, even about a guy and President Trump, who I don't have a ton of respect for. I just think it was uncalled for at this stage, especially in her political career. And maybe she learns from this too, Doc, and doesn't use this kind of language, refrains from it in the future.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Time and place and decorum. Certain people shouldn't be cussing in their jobs. Politicians, people that are wearing suits and dresses and looking nice, trying to lead the nation, should not be talking in that manner. Now, the president, interestingly, did get the chance to welcome Clemson to the White House. They did take him up on the offer. As you know, a lot of pro teams are really against going to the White House, and it's obviously ceremonial and things like that. I'm of the opinion in general, for those that don't know, that, look, it doesn't have to be political. It's just a photo op. It's an opportunity, symbolically to go meet the president, to share your successes as an organization. And, some organizations have now started to make it political and things like that. I just think, again, time and place. It doesn't have to be political. You have a platform. You can speak in front of a microphone anytime you want. This is just an opportunity to go shake the president's hand. Kind of like, you remember, Vito, when you were in school, you would just have an assembly and the principal would just get up there and be like, yay, here's the citizen of the month. Here's the person that does this. And I don't know when you were in school if they even had assemblies. When I was in elementary school, we would, organize once a month, and it would be cool because we wouldn't be doing schoolwork. We'd be sitting on our tush, Indian style, and we would listen to, blah, blah, blah. I didn't pay attention to half of it. But
I know you did it.
It would be like,
but I probably didn't either.
But it was great when you'd win Citizen of the Month or some award would happen or something like that, and you'd go up there and things like that. Now, I didn't go up there and share my opinion on the principal if I thought he was a weirdo or anything like that. You just go up there, shake the principal's hand, take your award, and sit back down. That's what it should be. And I think that's what the president needs to do, is to establish, if it's the next president, whether the next person in charge, whether they are a Democrat or a Republican, they should just make it so that teams come in, photo op, bop, 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 boom, in and out, photo op, and handle their business. But Clemson, they defeated Alabama handily, and so they took up the president's offer, and they showed up. And it was interesting in that it made news, in that the president served Clemson fast food. And it looked like pizza, burgers, Wendy's. And I'm like, holy cow, the president really likes this kind of shit. And he really did serve them this kind of food. Now, I look at it and people are talking all about it. They're basically making fun of the president because it appears to be like a low-class move to serve these kids fast food. And I'm not going to call it low class because I assume that he wants to share a meal with them that he thinks they're used to, being college kids, pizza and burgers. And look, football players, they were all happy, dude. They were in there. They were looking. They had. I've never seen fast food look so organized and so nice, with the fries and the burgers and the pizza with the metal spoon to pick it up. And you look at it and you realize, okay, you know what? The president didn't go all out, but I do think, similarly to the politician, the president could have maybe elevated a little bit and have some pasta, some chicken, good catered food, some potatoes, some mixed vegetables. I think he didn't need to, go way above means, like not having filet and lobster. But I think there's a spectrum of food that you serve, and you needed to have like 15 different kind of foods in the warmer plates, like when you go get something catered. And you just have potatoes and steak and, everybody loves the spaghetti and the marinara sauce and stuff like that. And I think it would have looked better. Fast food kind of looked tacky, so obviously I give it a thumbs down. I would have been happy going to eat that food.
You would have eaten it. And a lot of those players are more than fine with eating it, too. They like fast food.
But the president loves himself some fast food.
He does. Way too much. Look at his body. It's bigger. Not to criticize his body and body shame. I'm not a body shamer, but yeah, you can tell why he looks the way that he does at this stage.
But it's not
life.
Something you serve in an organized setting. I think it's a demerit.
It is. It's tacky. It's corny. It's not one thumb down. It's two thumbs down.
Yeah.
You're at the White House. In the White House, and you're serving up fast food for these players who might love fast food, and these big linemen and players all across the field for Clemson might have loved some of that food at least. But man, I'm a nutritional guy. I try to be healthy. That's not healthy eating. Yeah. What kind of diet is that, man?
Vito, I got a question. Do you think they actually had a conversation and it comes up like you and I are sitting here bullshitting a little bit, and they're looking at it and they're like, okay, if we get Wendy's and fries and pizza, it's going to cost maybe $800. If we get it catered, through a restaurant, it's going to cost $2,400. And you think he sat there and went, all right, go $800, and just thought about just like that?
The cheap route.
Yeah.
Cheap. I thought he was a multi-billion-dollar-aire. I mean, I thought he had all this money.
But, Vito, he's using taxpayer dollars. So, in essence, would you have wanted to float the bill on a $2,200 catered meal for Clemson? Or do you say, you know what, if he actually answered in a political way and he said, look, I saved you guys, taxpayers, I saved you $1,800 by serving fast food? Actually, I know
so good for President Trump, saving us taxpayer dollar money.
He did, actually.
He did. He saved us some tax dollars.
Yeah, because, Vito, he's not floating the bill. It's the taxpayers.
Well, that's a funny thing. So, he doesn't have to, shouldn't have to, but guess what? He has all this money. Why couldn't you have catered it yourself? Aren't you this billionaire? Or he was at one point. I know a lot of his companies have gone bankrupt, including multiple casinos and other entities that he was associated with. But man, he touts his money, all the wealth that he has, and then he only has the wealth to afford fast food for these players for a team that just came off of a national championship. Come on. Why couldn't he have spent a little bit out of his money?
Vito.
He's got some money on him, John. I know it's not the president's duty to do that. I'm just saying, this guy who touts his money, being this billionaire when he really isn't, and Forbes and other people have proven that over time.
I'm about to be 40, and you're definitely young and youthful, and you're trying to be funny, and I'm going to get your sense of what you've tried to do since we've last spoke about that. But this is not a socialist country, Vito. Okay, and so if there's an opportunity for somebody else to pay the $800, or you pay the $800,
I'm just saying he has the money to afford it. I'm not saying the president has to do it. I know the president's not going to do it. It's on the White House, their budget.
99 out of 100 people are not going to take money out of their own pocket when it's paid for by somebody else. Nobody's doing that. So I'm actually going to give. Now I'm going to recant my statement. I'm going to.
Here we go. I'm going recanting based off of my statement. You're going to recant your statement.
I'm going to recant, and I'm going to give. God. I'm going to give the president props. He saved me money.
Look at this. John's going 2 thumbs up. Fully grinning. You're going to grin from ear to ear now, right?
2 thumbs up. He saved the taxpayers dollars by getting Wendy's and pizza as opposed to steak and burgers or In-N-Out or anything like that. He went in a way that was economical. And something that would make him happy.
Make him look good now.
I'm very happy with the president's decision. I think that should be done going forward, where if a team wins, the standard, I get to the White House, Vito, I'm going to have
I know your standard meal.
Yep.
It'd be only $500
hot
worth.
And ready, baby.
As cheap as possible. The cheapest route possible.
Hot and readies are going to be served, and you're going to like it. And if you complain, then the next team gets White Castles.
Well, see, Trump here, too, blamed it on the White House shutdown and on the Democrats. He took a chance to blame the Democrats again for the White House shutdown. And that's why he didn't have the chefs there the chefs to staff a huge, great meal made for those Clemson players and coaching staff. So he took the chance to blame the Democrats. Trump had to blame the Democrats for the White House shutdown again, over supplying food to the Clemson National Championship football team. He really took the chance, again, to criticize the Democrats over that, the food supplied at a ceremony honoring the 2019 Clemson National Championship football team. Really, President Trump? Man, come on. That's a big come on, man, for me. Now, if you care about the tax dollars spent, okay, I guess he saved us some money. But really, for those poor Clemson players who make no money for what they do, all the time they put in on the practice field, all the money they just made Clemson University for winning that national title, and then the way in which you pay them respect or honor them is by supplying them with fast food. And then Clemson has a nutritionist. Like they, employ a guy that monitors the diets of all these players and is making sure they're having the right caloric amount day in, day out. And then you give these guys fast food. Then some of the guys might even want to eat it. They're like, I'm on a diet, man. I'm trying to keep my body trim and, proper. And I got to eat this pizza and fast food burgers. 300 burgers, by the way. President Trump touted that up as well. The amount of burgers that he had. I think he said 300 burgers. That's a lot of burgers. And then he had the pizza and all the other fast food. And now at least, Doc, we have actually expressed to the masses here what you would have supplied to a team coming to the White House.
Hot and ready, baby.
Pizzas. But it's in Washington, D.C. Do they have a Little Caesars nearby? I guess you could have looked up and found one, though. Had somebody from the White House, a White House aide, do that for the day as part of his job.
Okay, put yourself as an 18-year-old. You walk in there and you see that food. Are you happy or are you kind of bummed out?
Tacky. I'm at the what?
Yeah.
Candlelight dinner? Like there's candlelights, right? You saw that? Looks fancy.
Yeah.
And there's burgers spread on the table? What? Where did I go? Am I really at the White House? I'd be thinking to myself. And I'd be thinking, what does President Trump think of me, truly? Could care less about me and my teammates. That's the kind of vibe it gave off to me. Not that we have to get all up in arms. We're having some fun here. But it was a little bit corny and tacky, to sum it all up.
All right, let's take our first time out. Second half of the podcast is going to be equally as funny. Pornhub released their stats for the year 2018, and something that came out from the Metro Times is how I saw this. It was hilarious. It came out on the Metro Times Twitter. It said, "Newsflash, Detroiters watched a lot of porn in 2018. We'll talk about that as well as previewing the AFC and NFC Championships that'll take place tomorrow. Can't wait for the second half of the podcast. It's going to be real good.
What a transition into this commercial spot about one of our fine sponsors at the DSP Network in Legacy Football. And, Doc, as you know already, the Legacy Football organization was founded in 2009. It is a premier off-season development program in the state of Michigan, in the Midwest, and in the entire country. It provides unique platforms for student athletes on and off the football field through community service, social awareness, education, and football. And it consists of a staff of many former collegiate stars and NFL players, such as legendary Lions wide receiver Herman Moore, and a past guest on these very Two Bad Hombres airwaves, and former 3-time All-American linebacker at Doc School, Michigan State, and Greg Jones. And to find out more about all of the events that Legacy Football is hosting and organizing in 2019, please contact National Director of Football Operations, Justin Sassante, or go online to Legacy Football's terrific website at www.legacyfootballorg.com.
All right, Vito, what was your reaction when I sent you the text and it said Metro Times on it? It was a quick link, and you saw, oh, God, this is what John came up with. Look, it was on Twitter, and as you know, throughout the day to prep for these podcasts, throughout our lunch hour and things like that, I just kind of scroll, and it popped up, and it said that Detroiters watched a lot of porn in 2018. Now, meaning we didn't click the most. Guess how many clicks Pornhub received in 2018? What's your take? What do you think how many numbers? How many hits? How many hits for the year?
So, like, as in downloads or listens, total
visits.
My God. 2 million, 2.5 million. How about 2.5 mil?
Vito.
Way north of that, right?
33 billion.
Yeah,
views.
that's just crazy.
33 billion. Okay. Now, there were stats compiled, and I think it's kind of creepy to think about that they compile stats, but the stat that made Detroit relevant was Detroiters watch a little bit more on average per video than anywhere else in the entire country. Not the most hits, but when we do click on a video, we watch it way longer.
Because of you? How much of that porn did you consume of that stat there?
When I told my wife, she started dying, and she was like, oh, my God, I can't believe you're going to talk about this. I'm like, well, that's the headline. Detroiters watched a lot of porn in 2018. And it's one of those situations where we watched a lot more than the average in the country. And look, what do you think was the most viewed search item from Detroit?
Okay, of porn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, something with two chicks. Like
that's up
multiple
there. Yes.
chicks.
Yes, lesbian was up there, but the number one search was ebony. Number 2 was lesbian. And obviously number 3, ebony lesbian.
Best of both worlds.
All three, right?
Yeah.
Ebony, lesbian, ebony, lesbian.
And rocking your world right
exactly.
there.
Now, that doesn't, qualify in anywhere what I search, but it's.
But you do search.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have been on Pornhub in the past year.
Not going to lie.
At least you're not lying.
I've accidentally maybe clicked on something and maybe found my way there.
And I ended up watching like a half an hour video. You keep watching. So it wasn't too accidental, right?
Detroit ranked 24th for U.S. cities for most porn watched on Pornhub and 59th in the world. About 28% of Detroit visitors identify as female, matching the national average. When it comes to timing, though, Detroit can pat themselves on the back or, Pornhub revealed that Detroit visitors managed to hold out for nearly 2 minutes longer than the national average of 10 minutes, 37 seconds. Meaning that the average person, when they watch for 10 minutes. And Detroit, 12 minutes.
So Detroit fans of Pornhub and watchers of Pornhub really hold out until they release their fluids, huh?
Credit to MetroTimes.com for the information and
what a
the stats.
groundbreaking story from Metro Times there.
Does that make sense, Vito? 12 minutes a session. That's a little bit long, don't you think?
Well, I mean, a lot of guys I know can release their fluids quicker than that.
Okay.
Get their rocks off and probably accomplish what they want to while watching porn. I would say by that 10-minute mark, if not before that 10-minute mark.
Before we change subjects, what's the healthy amount to watch adult entertainment in a week?
The healthy amount from scientific studies that I have conducted in the last year and a half an hour per week. No, what is it? Do you know the number? Because
no.
I could see it knowing the number.
I'm thinking
and you following that
I'm thinking
trend.
for productivity like 10 minutes a week. Because
well,
like a minute or two.
More than a half an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I just came up with that, spur of the moment on the top of my head.
Yeah.
But
what do you think? I think the number that people actually watch versus what they report that they watch is drastically different.
It's got to be different. I got to believe
that.
But
this is statistics that have been gathered that when people from Detroit watch, they watch for 12 minutes on average. So, well, like I said, we're not doing great in terms of how much we're watching on there, only 24th. But when we do watch, we sit down and we handle our business. We enjoy it.
How many religious people do we have
Vito, 33
in the state then?
33 billion hits a year.
I was going to say this. I think we watch those porn videos longer on Pornhub and other porn outlets because Detroit sports sucks. We're not watching Detroit sports for long periods of time. We're turning off the Lions or not even watching the Lions every single Sunday. And these other sports teams, the Pistons, who's taking the time out of their busy day and busy night to watch the Pistons, to watch the Red Wings? People would rather watch porn. They're getting their rocks off more and more excited from watching porn. which maybe has always been the case. But especially now when your teams suck that make up the 4 professional teams you have in your given city, what are you going to turn to? You might go on the laptop or on your phone and turn on some porn.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right? There's a theory there, I think.
I'm thinking in my head, is there a creative way to actually put that as a poll? Would you rather watch adult content or Detroit sports? Is that a fair poll?
I think adult entertainment.
Should I put that on there?
I'm mixed. I have a mixed reaction.
Should I just put that as a general poll without tagging in a sponsor? And just
Don't tag a sponsor. Yeah, that's all I know.
Just put, based on the Metro Times report, DSP poll, what would you rather watch, adult entertainment or Detroit sports? I think
the answer might end up being, I think people will generally say Detroit sports.
Okay.
Because they think people are watching their answer, just to make it sound good. I think realistically it might be adult entertainment on a daily basis.
Referencing back to our early conversation about being social media czar, is it worthwhile to post it to get some info? Because I'm thinking it. That's what the rule is. If I think it, I should tweet it. Should I do it?
Well, you think I'm not
going to use the word porn. I'll put adult entertainment. And
I think
Detroit
adult
sports.
entertainment is fine.
Is it worth it to
but not
ask?
Porn.
Is it worth
I think it's worth it.
Okay.
Now, we lose a sponsor because of this. It's on you and I.
Okay,
I'll admit that. It's not just you.
No,
It'll be accountable. It'll be you and I.
I'm going to say, based on the Metro Times report, what would you rather watch? And that's what I'll see. I think,
now, what do you think the response will be?
I think adult entertainment might be more.
Do you think people will be honest, though, in that poll?
Well, it's
or
not.
do you think people
No, I think the way
honest?
I phrase it, I think they'll be honest. I think they're going to vote. I think they're going to vote adult entertainment because Detroit sports right now is so bad that you saw the report from your entity, the Free Press. Great job by Brian Manzullo there to document that it's been about 1,000 days since a Detroit team has won a playoff game, about 2 years. You believe that? Since 2016, I believe, has a Detroit team won a playoff game. That's a long time, Vito. 1,000 days plus now, right?
Well, who did in 2016?
I think it was the Red Wings that lost to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time.
I think it's been the Red Wings.
So 1,000+ days now, because that article came out a week ago.
Yeah.
And who's going to make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Wings aren't. Pistons aren't. Tigers clearly aren't.
Yeah, because
who's going to make the playoffs? Lions maybe?
Yeah.
Next year?
I'm thinking,
Lions maybe next year
I'm thinking maybe the Red Wings in 2015 because they didn't make the playoffs 16, 17.
I think it's 2015.
No, this is 18, yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's been
way
long
too
time.
long. We're Detroit sports fans. What do we have to root for?
Yeah.
That's why we turn to watching porn. Sorry, Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry, whomever you believe in, whoever your God is. We got nothing better to watch, nothing better to do than to put our hands on our prized possession below our waist.
All right, Vito. Interesting stuff there. You can check out
Very interesting.
Check out metrotimes.com or our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast to the link to that interesting information. All right, final topic. What's going on in the AFC, NFC title games? Are you excited? Are you happy with the 4 teams? Obviously, both 1 and 2 seeds from both conferences are going to play. Who are you rooting for to make the Super Bowl? Are you going to be excited? And how do you watch this contest? Because arguably one of the funner days in terms of sports, sit down on a Sunday. I'm not working, no clients, no podcasting. I'm dedicated for the 6 hours to watch and see who's going to make it to the Super Bowl.
I was hoping for a Chiefs-Eagles matchup because of Andy Reid playing his former team and being able to win his first Super Bowl championship against his former squad in the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly did lose, had a chance to win. St. Nick, good old St. Nick Foles did all that he could. Elshon Jeffrey let that pass bounce off of him, and Nick Foles' pass subsequently was intercepted down the stretch there against the Saints in New Orleans. So the Eagles had a fine shot to come back and win that ballgame this past Sunday in New Orleans. Eagles didn't get it done. They will not be defending their championship from a season ago. Now, the team that I like currently to win it all is not the Saints. It's not the Patriots. It is not the Rams. It is the Kansas City Chiefs, who have not been the greatest playoff team in recent memory. Getting that playoff W a week ago with Patrick Mahomes, that was huge for Chiefs Nation because really Andy Reid hadn't won a lot, and, well, the Chiefs had it as a franchise. So kind of getting over the hump a little bit, but the next step is to get to the Super Bowl, to be able to hoist the Lombardi Trophy at season's end. And I think the Chiefs, led by head coach Andy Reid and quarterback Patrick Mahomes, I think we'll get it done this season as Super Bowl champs. So that is my pick. It's the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs winning it all, so gladly for me, that means I have the Chiefs beating the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. And maybe the Pats dynasty is finally going to come to an end subsequently. I'm really hoping that is the case this weekend by the Chiefs knocking off the Pats. And remember, this is at Arrowhead. It's a tough place to play. And the Chiefs have this great home field advantage. And the Patriots aren't nearly as dominant of a team on the road in the playoffs. Over the history of this dynastic run the Patriots have been on under the leadership of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, they have not been nearly as good on the road in playoff games. And at Arrowhead, where the Chiefs have been nearly unbeatable, this dominant ball club can put up points with ease. And really, the Chiefs have done so against anybody this season, even without a great running back in Kareem Hunt, who is now out indefinitely, and I don't see him returning to the Chiefs ever, and maybe to another NFL franchise either in the long-term future. So the Chiefs have won without him. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, all of these dudes can get it done offensively for the Chiefs. And the defense, I think, makes a play or two enough to get it done against New England. And when that happens on Sunday, this Sunday, Doc, I will be in my glory, man. Because I'll be happy to see the Patriots knocked off. And I think this might be, for how many seasons straight have people said now, this might be the Patriots' last shot at winning it all. But could this truly be, if the Pats lose this weekend in the AFC Championship game, you might be able to say at the end of the game that, hey, this was the last shot for Tom Brady, Tom Terrific and the Patriots to win a Super Bowl championship with Tom Brady as their quarterback.
It's going to be interesting. I'm definitely excited to watch it. I think that there's an opportunity to really be fascinated by some good football. Obviously, 4 offensive teams. The Saints obviously play good defense. Obviously, Tom Brady and the Patriots are just world beaters. They're the class of the NFL. I think that it's going to be the Patriots and the Rams. I think that it's going to be an interesting opportunity for both. Now, if you ask me what do I want, what's going to be the best Super Bowl, A+ is Chiefs and Rams. I think that the Chiefs playing the Rams would produce the most fireworks. I think the Saints and the Chiefs could produce some fireworks as well, so that would be another option. I just want to see good football. At this point in time, you've seen close games, but there have been a lot of blowouts. I'm fascinated to see how the strategies are going to be implemented by both teams. I think that the Patriots game had a chance to be entertaining, but did you see the weather report? It's going to be sub-zero. So I think that there's just going to be a game probably where the passing is going to be a little bit less, and it's going to be who runs the ball and controls the ball very well. So, obviously that favors the Patriots, I think, a little bit, in that the Chiefs and Andy Reid are kind of known for not being able to get over the hump. Now you look at the NFC, and you see the Rams, this young upstart team with a quarterback and this hotshot coach, and they're going to New Orleans. Experience is on the side of the Saints. So I just can't wait. And what do you think is going to be the key in these games for victory for the Saints, Rams, Patriots, and Chiefs?
It might be who makes the most stops, and maybe only making a stop or two in the game, in both games. Might come down to that. Simply come down to that, Doc. Which, it's amazing, but in this day and age of the NFL, it's all about offenses, man. Offenses rule and reign supreme. So if you have a dominant offense that can be clicking on all cylinders at this time of the season, you have to favor the better, more efficient offensive attack. And that, I believe, is the Chiefs over the Patriots in the AFC. And I think you're going to see a rematch of that great Monday Night Football contest, which was one of the best Monday Nighters in recent memory between the Chiefs and the Rams. How exciting was that game to watch? That was my favorite game from the season. All those combined points, I believe the most in Monday Night Football history were scored between the Chiefs and Rams this season on Monday Night Football. What an astounding factoid right there, right? But that's how great that game was and how great these two offenses from the Chiefs and the Rams respectively are. So I think you're going to see some fireworks potentially in this round, in the AFC and NFC Championship games. But I think when you get to that Super Bowl, even though you saw the Chiefs score all those points against the Rams score all those points against the Chiefs, we could be due for a letdown, at least a little bit, in the Super Bowl, where those two teams aren't going to be clicking on all cylinders offensively come the time of the Super Bowl. And I think it will be a lower scoring game subsequently, which is, I know, easy to say based off of the first matchup. But I don't think there will be a ton of fireworks in that Super Bowl. I think you might see a game in which the winner comes out on top by a margin of 28-21 or 35-21, which means some solid offense, but not consistently dynamite offense from quarter 1 to quarter 4. I think we might be on the verge of that in the Super Bowl, and specifically in a Super Bowl matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams.
Interesting stuff, man. I can't wait to sit down Sunday The question that we've all been talking about, and I'll get your sense of it, how close are the Lions to these 4 teams? Are they really far away? Is it coaching? Is it the fact that the talent for the Lions is just so far away? I mean, there's been talk about trading for Antonio Brown, maybe Le'Veon Bell, trying to figure out how to improve this team. It just seems like whenever there's an option to improve the Lions, it just seems like the door is going to shut. Because you look at these 4 teams, and it just seems like the distance between the Lions and the final 4 teams is so vast that it doesn't give you any hope.
But I think in the NFC North division specifically, I think it gives the Lions hope next season. I think it really does. Because you look at the rest of the division, the Bears had a great season out of nowhere. Now, Khalil Mack is dominant defensively for the Bears. But their quarterback situation, Mitchell Trubisky, is he the guy to lead them truly to the promised land? And maybe to another division crown. I mean, he already did it this past season. So I think he's capable of that under the leadership of the Bears head coach, Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy is this great offensive mind who, it seems like, seemingly can do no wrong, at least as of right now, based on what he did with Mitchell Trubisky in 2018. But let's see if they can replicate that offensive production and efficiency on both sides of the ball, too, in 2019. Because I doubt that will be the case for the Bears, that they will be able to easily replicate the production they had on both sides of the ball in 2019. Thus, I think they're in for a dip and a little bit of a downturn in 2019, and subsequently could fall back in the division in the NFC North, which leaves it open for a team like the Packers or the Vikings, you would think, rather than the Lions winning the division crown in 2019. But maybe it gives the Lions this great shot at winning a division crown as soon as next season. So I'm not going to guarantee it. Playing a game of Big Vito's over-under, I think the odds are below 50%. And I think, honestly, they're only at about 20 to 25%. But I think that means something in the grand scheme of things. Coming off of a 6-10 campaign under the leadership of a first-year head man who has garnered a lot of doubts from media members and fans alike. So not a lot of people are appeased with Matt Patricia or the GM and Bob Quinn. So a lot of people are doubting whether or not the Lions can turn around the ship and do it enough so to become a division title contender in 2019. What I'm trying to say is that at least there's a glimmer of hope for the Lions to turn it around enough to be a division title contender in 2019. And that's, in my opinion, Doc, mostly because of the weakened state of the NFC North. Just like in baseball, the American League Central is weakened. The NFC North is weakened. And the Lions are as far off as the Tigers from being division title contenders. Thus, you can put the Lions, I think, into the equation for a division crown. But once again, playing a game of Big Vito's over-under, I think the odds of the Lions of winning the division at this point in 2019 are at about 25%. Which, hey, those aren't great odds, but I think they're better that some people would be willing to place their odds at because of the 6-10 campaign that they are coming off of this season.
Great podcast recording, Vito. Enjoy the weekend. I hope that the games are fruitful. I really enjoyed this week. We had a laugh. We got a chance to talk about a lot of different things. Did you get a chance to watch Bird Box?
I have not yet.
Okay, not yet. I would say Bird Box and the Surviving R. Kelly series should be must-watch, so we can debate it in the coming weeks. Thanks, everybody. You can follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. You can follow the show on Twitter at 2Bad Hombres. We appreciate all the engagement. If you want to lob us a voicemail, feel free anytime, 248-579-8686. It's open 24 hours a day. See everybody next weekend.
Adios.